Hello, my name is Brett Womack, and for my final project, I chose to do students with autism, social, cognitive, intellectual, and academic characteristics. The reason I chose to do students with autism compared to anything else is because I've worked with students with autism in the past, and I really enjoyed it, and I just wanted to do more research for this type of student and then to teach you more about what characteristics and behaviors and different things that students with autism have. So there's social characteristics, their social emotional reciprocity, their nonverbal communication. There's a lot of nonverbal communication when it comes to students with autism. If you're working with a child who can't speak and must use a tablet to speak for them, they would be a nonverbal communicator and they would have a harder time expressing what they want without having a tablet. And so working with those kids is very unique. So you have to really kind of watch their body language, how they react to certain things. The next one is maintaining relationships. Students with autism have a hard time maintaining the relationships because they really go off of people they can trust and that they spend a lot of time around. The students in our building who have autism are around the same people all day, and for them to make friends with other kids or other staff members is hard if they don't see those people on a regular basis. Problem behaviors. Some of the behaviors you might see within the classroom. One is aggression. Students with autism get frustrated easily, and them being aggressive is just part of their intellectual disability. Being aggressive toward, not so much toward others, but maybe toward the staff member they are working with, or maybe to themselves. They also have repetitive behaviors. The three I have listed: speech, interest, and sensory. With their speech, they like to repeat a certain word or phrase over and over because that's what they know and that's what they feel comfortable with. Their interest. A lot of autism kids are really good at one particular thing in general. Some of the kids I've worked with that have autism like playing Legos because they can put things together and take things apart and can use their imagination through that. The next is sensory. Students with autism have a sense of touch and sight. A student that I work with this year really likes lights, and so he will go around and just kind of look at the lights in the building, and he's real sensitive to that. And when he eats something, he'll put it up to his nose first to smell it before he'll put it in his mouth. A lot of us, we like to taste first with our tongue and that type of sensory, but he likes to put it up to his nose, smell it, and then sometimes he'll put it on the back of his hand and he'll feel it first before he puts it in his mouth. Another just fact that I found, understanding their social norms. 13% of students with autism attend college after high school, and 13% of students with autism maintain a job after college. So for them to understand what life is like after school, and to be able to hold a job and to make the decisions they need to while they are out there doing that is very hard for students who have autism. Some of their cognitive characteristics. Autism spectrum disorder, for one. This is a disorder that affects in their brain, and symptoms for autism show up a little bit later, like after birth. So symptoms don't show up until they are 2 or 3 years of age. A lot of kids with autism have different brain scans, and the way things are connected in the brain, their brain didn't quite develop at birth, and so some of the connections aren't all there, and they're not connected like they are in a normal brain. It doesn't matter whether it's just one side of the brain or another side. It varies all over the brain to where any part of the brain could be why the student has autism. And then no brain is the same. So just because one kid has autism and another kid does as well, their brains aren't going to look the same. And so my picture down here at the bottom, the brain on the left is a normal brain. Everything is connected. It has a specific flow to it. The brain on the right would be a brain of a student with autism, and how everything is kind of mushed together, and you don't know where the connections are going, if they're going to anything in particular, and everything's super tight and not really conformed. Some of their intellectual characteristics, one of them being Savant syndrome, meaning the students with autism have one skill that they are really good at, like I talked about before. Some might be with Legos, for example. Some might have a music talent, an art talent, calendar, calculating, math and mechanical, and visual spatial skills. And so those kids who have that sort of syndrome are really good with numbers and dates and coming up with stuff that people who don't have autism would have a hard time remembering. But those kids who have Savant syndrome would be very good at remembering these type of things. Their IQ levels for autism normally are between 50 and 70. Anything higher is considered still autism, but they're able to be out in the main classroom a little bit more. These students with an IQ of 50 to 70 are mainly in one classroom, working with a teacher and a couple of pairs in the same classroom. Their ability to reason, problem solve, exercise judgment, and learn, these are all intellectual characteristics that are hard for a student that has autism. To problem solve, for example, when they get stuck with a task or something, to be able to fix that problem without getting frustrated is something hard that autism kids have. And so giving them tasks that aren't super challenging and that they can do really helps them to be able to problem solve on their own. Exercise judgment and learn, that goes along with just the teaching and the repetitive stuff in the classroom. And as if they don't succeed the first time and they have a reaction to it, if you continue to do the same thing day after day, the judgment and the problem solving, all that gets better as time goes on. So it's not something that you're going to see first day you meet your student that has autism and expect him to be able to do some of these intellectual characteristics. The last one is academic characteristics. Obviously, a student that is on an IEP, obviously a student that has autism is on an IEP, and so you have to have the correct accommodations and the environmental expectations that meets the child's needs. Making sure that they are in the appropriate classrooms, whether they are in the mainstream with all the students or if they are in just one particular classroom with a teacher and a couple of paras to help them throughout their day. Another one is positive behavior support. You give students rewards for doing something good. And so, for example, one of the students that I get to work with this year, he has so many tasks he has to complete, and then he gets on his iPad and he tells us what he wants, whether he wants a snack or whether he wants to go for a walk. And then after our walk, he gets a piece of chocolate or something like that that rewards the student before he goes back to his normal tasks. One of the quotes I found in the book that I really like: expect your students to teach you even as you teach them. So every day, there's something new with your student who has autism. Every day will not be the same. Something new they might do will surprise you, or you'll learn what they like or what they don't like. Promoting friendships. But as a teacher, you want to encourage them to make friends, whether that's with other kids who are in the classroom or when you're out in the hall walking with other teachers or kids, that, hey, this would be a good friend to have, and you introduce them, and you constantly introduce them with that person so they remember who they are. And then the last one is routines. With kids who have autism, doing the same tasks a couple of days in a row before you do something new would help them not get so frustrated, help with behaviors in the classroom. You want to give tasks that are predictable and an end in sight. You want them to be able to see, all right, I'm doing this task, and I have to do 5 tasks before I can get a reward or get to do something else. So those are some of the things. Their academic characteristics, their intellectual characteristics, their cognitive characteristics, and their social characteristics, all of students who have autism. Before I close, I just wanted to thank our professor who made this class very engaging and easy to learn things, and I really enjoyed everything that you did for us this semester. So thank you for everything that you've done.